So I would definitely get a pen and paper. So basically what this is a listing challenge. I'm in a coaching group that we're all doing this listing challenge. And the idea behind it is to write 1,000 letters in 30 days. Now, I have not written 1,000 letters in 30 days. I've written probably close to 300 letters so far. So I'm getting there. So I started off with 20 letters a day. I would put Netflix on after the kids go to bed, and I'll sit there and I'll write my letters. And very, very simply. So what you're going to need to do this, because I look at it this way, 1,000 people, if you even get 1% return on the 1,000, the 1%, I'm not even asking for much. How many people is that? How many listings is that possible? 10, right? So with 10 listings, change your life.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and even if you don't get all 10 listings, maybe you only get 2 out of the 10. Imagine all that practice you get taking listing appointments. And if you don't nail those 8 other listings, who gives a shit, right? You just had practice that you would never gotten. I know when I first got in the business, as far as the sales side goes, back in 2014, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can attest to this, been in business for a minute or was on a different team or was solo or whatever, and you go to these sales meetings and they're like, you need to go on listings. Well, I'm like, fuck, how am I going to get listing? How am I going to go on these listing appointments? No one's calling me, right? So It's always this big secret. And how am I going to get to these listing appointments so I can practice? Because they said more listing appointments you go on, the more listings you're going to possibly get. Well, how do we get to listing appointments? I don't know. How do I do this? So this is a really easy way. And essentially we're going to take this group of homeowners, right? Because these people own their properties in this farm that you're going to farm in. And we're going to get the hand raisers. Okay. So you're going to go to your title person and you're going to ask them for a farm. What I like to do, let me share my screen really quick. That way you can, I don't even know how to do this desktop. Really simple. This is my Apple map on my computer. No big deal. And I don't even know where this is. Summer Spend. I like to take this. I like to take a screenshot of it. So I'm going to take a screenshot of the area I want to go. So imagine this is my farm. So now I have a screenshot. Okay. So here's a screenshot of my map. And I like to go through here and I like to take my little pen, or you can draw it out if you so feel like it. I'm going to draw a border around the area I want, because I'm not going to assume the title company is going to know what Summers Bend is, or, any of these neighborhoods that you want to farm in. And I like to try to start with, like right now, I'm trying to write 1,000 letters, my first quarter. That's my goal. And I want to do this 4 times a year. So we're going to draw a little map. I'm going to send it to my title company. I'm going to say, I want all of the homeowners that have bought their home 5 years ago or later. And the reason I'm choosing 5 years is because statistically, we know people usually move between 5 and 7 years. Now that's going to change a little bit. That always changes a little bit as time go on, but we're going to say every 5 years and later, people tend to move. So that's why I kind of want to go back as far as I go. I don't care if they refinanced into a 2% rate 2 years ago. The reason I don't care is because I don't have time to care. My goal is just to get as many letters written as possible to as many people as possible. I don't choose the last 2 years or people bought in the last 2 years, mainly because their interest rates were so low. So the chances,
they're not going anywhere.
Right. The chances of them going anywhere are more slim. Now, are there people that still sell during that time? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. People sell all the time. But I want to try to, get as many fish in the pond. I want to fish at a fish store, at a pet store, not a freaking pond where everyone else is fishing. So I'm going to go further back. And the biggest people that move are people that own their house maybe 15, 20 years ago. They bought it and now their kids are graduating. Those are the types of the thought process I have behind it. Does that make sense? And if anybody has questions going on, please feel free to chime in. So this one here, let me unshare my screen. Stop share. Okay. So this paper here, what I did, okay. What I did with this is I asked them, I want the owner's name. I don't know if you could see this, but owner's name, site address, and mailing address. Now this one's a 5-line. They asked me, do you want a 5-line? Do you want a 7-line? The lower the better. If they could have given me a 3-line with just their owner's name, their site address, and their mailing address, that's all I care about. I don't care when it was built. I don't care how much they paid for it. I don't care when they refinance. I don't care when the sale date. I don't care any of that. I don't care about the ATPM, nothing. I just want their name. I just want their address, and I want the property address. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing
is this site address? Is that where they live at?
The property address.
Property address.
On here,
So do you,
yeah. So
do you
on here,
get
the way
it?
they wrote it site address is how it's labeled, which is the property address. And sometimes the mailing address is the same, which tells me that they live in the property, at least as far as the records are concerned. And some of them, they're not the same address, which means they don't live in the property, or their mailing address is different. Now, is this a hole in one? Is it always right every time? No, it's not. I mean, I might be mailing stuff and they already moved from that second address. It's, you know, the information is only as good as they can give you. But like I said, I'm not going to get too hung up on it, because you never know where I might mail the letter to some house and they're like, wow, somebody wrote a handwritten note. That's not my house. It's not my people, but let me call her. You just never know, right? You've heard of weird things. The second thing you're going to need is envelopes. Plain envelopes, nothing fancy. I just use these Amazon. I bought a whole box of them for, I don't know, 20 bucks, 500 of them, just plain. And I have the self-seal ones because I'm not trying to lick a bunch of envelopes. Plain, nothing written on them. I don't do colors. I just do a letter looks like this, because a letter kind of looks official, right? I think a lot of people get hung up on these pretty colors and all of this. As soon as you start throwing pretty colors, yes, it's eye-catching, but I feel like we've all seen it already, right? It's no longer, like 5 years ago, it was unique. I feel like it's no longer unique, right? You get these letters from people and you're like, oh, loud color. Okay, this is probably marketing. So you want it to be kind of official looking, where they're like, who's mailing me a letter? The other thing I need you to do is, again, don't get too hung up on this, but basic letterhead with your branding on it and your phone number on it. Okay, if you don't have a letterhead, you can go on Canva and make one really, really easily. You could Google letterhead if you want, and just pull that out. But I made this one off of Canva, super easy. I used our logo. I put a picture of myself on the bottom. You don't have to. My first iteration of these, I did not have a picture of myself at all. And then I added the picture. And my next iteration, actually, the ones I'll print after I'm done with these, will have my QR code on there. But it has my name, my phone number, my DRE number, so your license number. It has my office number, my cell phone number, and then my address on the bottom. And this is not my home address, this is my office address, because I want these people to know that I'm local here, right? I want them to know here because I'm in Murrieta. I want them to know I'm in Murrieta. Okay, so I'm not just some random weirdo, which I kind of am. So what we're going to do, it's very, very simply. The letter is very, very simple, and you're going to be surprised how stupid it is. And we're going to write the following. I'm going to write it out. Dear, you can, and again, when you're looking at your paper, if it's an easy name, like I have Chris Lee right here, I'm going to write Dear Mr. Lee or Dear Chris, however I want to, you know, if you're in the South, maybe Southern states, Mr. and Miss is more appropriate. Maybe you're in other states and other cities that maybe the first name is more appropriate. Just write it out however you want to do it. So, Dear Mr. Lee, would you consider selling your home at 123 Banana Street? Don't write Banana Street, write their address. To a prospect. You could use prospect, you could use client, but technically they're not your client unless you're in contract. So be careful with that one. Buyer, you could write. I like to use prospect because I have prospects. I do open houses, baby. I got a whole list of prospects that want to live in this neighborhood because I had an open house in this neighborhood, right? Of mine. And then I'm going to sign it. Now it's going to seem really, 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 really tedious to do all these letters handwritten like this. Do not use magic ink. Do not print them on your computer. Do not hire a third-party company to do this, because the whole point of this is to make the homeowner feel like you wrote this letter just for them. You want to make them feel special. You want to make them feel like, oh God, she wrote a letter to me. Okay. Because it won't work. If you print out a million of these and just handwrite their names on top or type their names on top, they're going to be like, oh, this chick is just marketing everybody. I'm not special. And she doesn't actually have a buyer from my house. So that's why we're doing it this way. This is like guerrilla marketing, right? We're going back to basics because everyone's all seen the magic ink. I call it magic ink. You know, it's where it looks like handwriting and they print it. Everyone's seen it. When it first came out, it was unique. Everyone was like, oh my God, this is so cool. But everyone's seen that shit now. So we have to go back to basics. We have to do things that other people are not doing to get different results. Okay.
Shirin, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on like, it's not my signature, but every time I do an open house, I do it in pink, like pen, just because I'm obsessed with pink. If I have a
If
car,
it's part of your brand, yes, 100%. So I do mine in blue.
Okay.
Because I feel like for me, blue really stands out and actually like is super obvious that it's handwritten. Like I like this like turquoisey blue one. I'm careful with this one because it's sometimes hard to read. But I usually just do blue. Sometimes I've done purple because why not? But then some people might think purple, like, oh, it's not professional, but who gives a shit? I don't want to work with people like that, right? I want to work with people that want to work with me. I'm not going to be everything to everybody. And I'm a pretty like straightforward kind of person. So I want my vibe to come through on them. So if you love pink and that's your vibe and that's your marketing, go with pink because it's going to fit your brand, right? And there's people that love it, they're going to love it, and they're going to love you for life.
Okay. I love it. And then I have another question because I'm basically trying to get into my neighborhood. I've been living here for 2 years, but this is like my first year doing like actual, full-time real estate.
Mm-hmm.
There's this Dan Anderson, man, he's got this neighborhood on lockdown. So
I don't want you to get stuck on that kind of stuff. Don't feel intimidated by them. You could become a dominant agent in that neighborhood in 60 days.
Yeah.
Because
a lot of people know who I am. They know that I do real estate, but then, I'm in Harmony Grove. So there's about 700, 800 houses here. Right. So like he has like a pet calendar and he's got, food drive for pickup. Like I'm trying to now do like, if I were to write in this note, would you do like, I live in the neighborhood, ask me about my neighborhood, like nothing like that. Just keep
no, because everyone does it.
Okay.
Everyone does it. When they call, I always say it. I'm like, oh, I actually lived right up the street from you.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Love it.
I wouldn't bother with it because maybe you want to farm in a different pocket, right? Maybe you can look up his numbers, look up his stats and see where is the cluster of homes that he's selling. Maybe there's a certain pocket that he has not had any listings in at all. And maybe go and take that pocket and hit that pocket really, really hard.
Okay.
Right.
That's good.
So yeah, I wouldn't hang up too much. I mean, yeah, it's a little intimidating. If you feel better about it, maybe hit a neighborhood that's closer to yours that you've done open houses in. But what I would do is I would just do that neighborhood and commit to that neighborhood, write all the letters in that neighborhood, and then try to get some open houses to hold open houses in that neighborhood. So that way people are getting the letters, they're also seeing your open house signs with your name on them.
Okay.
And then if you're in that neighborhood and you are part of the neighborhood group, I'm constantly posting in there, and I'm not posting just to say, here, buy a house, because it's an advertisement. No one wants to see that shit, right? But what they want to see is value. Like, hey, does anyone have a handyman? Actually, I have a really good resource. Here, let me upload my, I'll screenshot my, my vendor recommended resources guide in not a PDF, a PNG file, like a screenshot.
Yeah.
I'll post it and be like, here, I have a handyman. If you need somebody else too, blah, blah, blah. And then people automatically see Brittany Realtor and here's her little thing. It's like subconsciously, here's my list. You can have it.
So we already have like Harmony Grove is already like a well-established, like we already have like an entire list, but I do post about like power positivity because people complain about like, oh, the bushes or whatever. And I'd be like, I'll be like, oh, I went for an amazing run today. Like, what a beautiful day. I'm so appreciative of like the decorations, we have candy cane lane. So I should post about time and stuff like that.
Yeah. Most of that stuff is amazing. I think you should continue doing that because people, the biggest thing is you want your name to be seen as much as possible. I want it to be the point where if they see your letter and they're like, oh my gosh, Brittany Lerner, I got a letter from her. I see her name. And I'll tell you something, it really works because when I did that, I'm using Christian Boubillon's listing as an example because it's literally right around the corner from my house. And I did this open house and I had probably 10 people come through because I had my signs all the way up the street. And I tell you, I had at least 2 or 3 people come through and they were like, oh my gosh, you're the lady on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you look just like your picture, or you don't look anything like your picture, whatever it is. Oh my gosh, your kids are so cute. It's like I got a bunch of stalkers, but they recognized my name, right? And
Yeah.
they saw my signs. I had someone that stopped by just because they saw the sign, they saw my name, they came by, and then turns out one of the ladies is in kindergarten class with my daughter. So I had an opening right there, like, oh my gosh, wait, you're Marcus's mom, first person in line, Marcus, you know, and now I put her on my list. I say, girl, give me your email address. Let's keep in touch. And then now I email her from time to time, like, hey, how's Marcus liking first grade now? What teacher does he have? Oh, are you guys doing this pumpkin thing? It has nothing to do with real estate, but I'm sending it from my real estate email. So they're constantly seeing my branding, but I'm not talking real estate, right?
Right.
No one wants to be sold in this business, but the minute she thinks of real estate, who is she going to think of?
Yeah. Love it.
You.
Okay.
Yeah.
So back to this again, letter, super duper duper simple. Do not complicate it. Do not write anything else. Do not think, wait, this is too simple. Because simple is going to be the most effective. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your blank envelope and you're going to write their address. You see my chicken scratch, shitty handwriting? That's it. And this is me trying hard. You should see when I'm not trying hard. I had my husband who writes like an 8-year-old do them. I also had my 8-year-old who writes like an 8-year-old do them, but her lines are like sideways. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? Do not use these printing software. You put the envelope through and it prints their names on them. Because I'm going to give you an anecdote about Leland Smith. Does anybody know who Leland Smith is? I get a letter in the mail from Leland Smith probably once every 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know who Leland Smith is, nor have I ever opened any of his letters. The reason why is because it's printed on the front in that magical ink. So immediately I know this is marketing. Excuse me. And I've been getting letters from him from the day I moved in. And the first time I ever got his letter, I even knew. I was like, oh, wow, they do ink marketing now. Like, I knew immediately. I'm like, I'm not special. He printed this to everybody on a computer program. The whole idea is try to get them to open the letter. So they open the letter. I usually put my newsletter, I put this in there, and then I also put my business card. If you don't have business cards, don't put it on there. Don't put them in there. Don't go out and run and spend all this money on business cards. Just put your information on paper. The main thing is phone number, email address. This is your business card right here. If you don't have money to spend on business cards, don't spend it. Not necessary. And then you're going to mail them out. If you can get with your title person and see if they have any kind of bulk shipping rates that they can offer you, sometimes they can, and they'll work with you on that. Just depends on like your state's limitations with RESPA, if you're allowed to do that. And then just mail them out really, really, really simply. And then just write them. I started with 20 letters a day. I'm up to 50 letters a day writing them out. Yeah. What if somebody calls and says to me, do you really have a buyer?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a buyer. Or
Absolutely.
even better, do you really want to sell? And wait for them to answer. Because if they don't really want to sell, I'm not going to bring my buyer by. I'm not going to stop by and preview the property for them. I'm still going to try to get their email address and remarket them forever though. So when they are ready. So you might have those people like, do you really have a buyer? Well, do you really want to sell? And it throws them off. It's like one of those pattern interrupts in their head. It's going to throw them off. And they're like, oh shit. Oh, well, yeah, if it's the right price. Okay. Well, I'm going to be around the corner tomorrow, or I live in the neighborhood, whatever. Can I stop by tomorrow at 10 a.m.? I'll take a look at the property, see if it would be a right fit for my client. Are you going to bring your client by? No, I'm not going to bring my client by, because if it's not the right fit, I'm not going to waste his time, make him mad either. I want to pop by really quick, 10 minutes, just see if it's his criteria and what he's looking for, or what they're looking for. And then when I get there, my job is to make them love me. And if they don't love me at the end of it, all right, fuck it. I just got practice. Getting in
Screw
front of
them. We love you.
Right. So, and excuse me, I use the potty words a lot. I need to learn how not to do that. So what questions do you guys have? Again, it seems really stupid simple, and I thought the same thing, and it literally took me a few weeks to even get off my ask and like do this. But as soon as I got these emails and these phone calls, I was like, my first phone call was the lady that told me to buzz off, and I was like, it's working. She told me I dropped dead. It's working. And then I got a text message from a girlfriend of mine, because I know a lot of the parents in the neighborhood, because the kids go to school. I was like, I'm going to send it to her anyways to remind her I'm in real estate and remind her I'm working hard for my client. Because even this lady over here, Tammy, said, I've never seen anyone write a handwritten note before. And I said, yes, I work really hard for my clients, and I'm willing to do the hard things that other agents aren't willing to do to help my clients. And and then when we got to the end of it, when I asked her if she was planning on listing with this person, and I would love the opportunity, and I told her, I said, look, and as you can see by the proof of my hard work, that I'm willing to write handwritten notes to people and to you, you know how hard I'm going to work for you. So I would love the opportunity to sit down with you guys and show you how I can make that happen for you. And then it opens up for a second listing appointment, because I would prefer to have a listing appointment second. Now, she did ask me what my rate was. And do you guys think I gave her what my rate was?
No.
No, because I don't want that conversation right now. What I told her was, my rate is negotiable. Everything's negotiable. I said, so let's sit down and then we can look at what needs to happen for you guys to make the most money off your house properly. And then we can look at what that rate might be. So I said, I know you're going to be building a house in Tennessee and you need to get as much money as possible. So let's go through and see how much you need to net to walk away with to build your house. And we can reverse engineer this to see if this makes sense for you. What other questions you guys? Oh, wait, before I forget. So we're not just going to write the letters and run, right? And ignore it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take this list. And if you have a calling program like RedX, Vulcan, Coal Resource, whatever it's called, Mojo, whatever it gives you phone numbers to people, then you're going to upload this little list or circle the neighborhood, right, that you just mailed to within your program. And then you're going to start calling these people, circle dialing them. You could also send these letters to expireds, because we already know they're hand raisers. We already know they want to sell. Mail them to expireds and then call them like a week later and say, hey, ring, ring, ring. Hello. Hey, this is Shirin Lieberman over the Real Brokerage. How are you today? Oh, I'm good. Oh, the weather. God, I wish it was sunny again. It's so cold today. Don't you think? Oh yeah, it's so cold. Hey, the reason for my call is I sent you a letter last week and I wanted to make sure you got it. I don't remember. What letter was that? Or whatever they say, right? Oh, I have and kind of talk to them about it and just let them talk. And at the end of the day, if they are not interested in selling, right? They say, no, I'm really not interested. Okay. Well, before I let you go, so now you're triggering them right there, telling them that the phone call is going to end soon, right? Giving them a deadline. Okay, the phone call is going to end soon because they just want to get off the phone. Before I let you go, if I came across some really good deals on some rental properties, would that be something you'd be interested in? No, not interested. Okay, thank you so much for your time. I still try to get an email address on the phone if I can. And the way I usually do that is I'll say something like, hey, before I get into the rental property thing, I'll ask them, do you have an agent you would work with if you were to do something one day? No, I don't. Okay, great. Would it be okay if I stayed in touch with you? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, great. What's a good email address for you? And then jot that down. If they say, I already have an agent, then I say, okay, no, perfect. A lot of times I'll ask them, like, oh, who's your agent? Looks like you're in really good hands. But if something were to happen with Bob, he wasn't available or he retired or something, I make a really good backup plan. Would it be okay if I stayed in touch with you? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, great. What's your email address? Now you got their email again, right? So now you're remarketing them every week with your email newsletter, keeping in front of them. Because just like this guy, Tyler, told me he had an agent. When I got to the house, she's like, we didn't sign anything. So it tells me they don't really have an agent. They didn't really like her that much. So she was probably there just for business. And I was there to show her that I cared about her and value and all of that. So when I get into that at the very end, when I say, hey, before I let you go, if I came across a really good deal on a rental property, would you be interested? If they say no, then I wrap the call up and like, okay, thank you so much for your time. You have a wonderful day. I'll shoot you over my contact info. So if you ever need anything, feel free to reach out. I'd love to be a trusted resource, and then hang up. Or if they said, actually, maybe, like, all right, great. What do you like? Do you like single family homes? Do you like condos? Do you like townhouses? Do you like multi-residential properties? Do you like commercial? Like, what do you like? And then now you're having a whole new conversation, and you have an investor. Now you could put them on your little investor list. Right? And if you don't have an investor list, you don't know how to look for investors. Now you're going to sit at home at 9:30 at night when you're watching Netflix, and you're getting on your laptop, and you're going to look for deals. And you're going to send them stuff every so often. Maybe things that are really low price per square foot. Right? That's how I like to look at them. Because then I can say, this is a great deal. All the other houses sold at 300 a square foot, and this one's at 254. It's a great deal. But what questions do you guys have for me? I know there was a lot of info.
I have another question. How did you just jump to the rental property? Who are you talking to? You said
Everybody.
they expired?
Everybody.
Everybody. Okay, so you're
Yeah, so what I
to
do
somebody-
is after I say, after I hold the whole script of, hey, let me ask you a question. If you were to do something one day, do you have an agent that you would work with? And they say no yet, whatever. Then the next part I say, after I get their email address or not, then I say, hey, before I let you go, so I'm triggering in their mind that this call's about to end, right? So now they're back re-engaged. Before I let you go, if I came across a really good deal on a rental property, would you be interested? And if
Love
they
it.
say, well,
Thank
maybe,
you.
now you have an investor. If they say no, bug off, not interested, okay, great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. However you want to end the call, right?
And Shirin, what were you saying about the postage in bulk? How do you get
Oh,
that?
sometimes reach out to your title person. You have a good relationship with someone, and see if they, and again, I don't know what each state's like RESPA laws are.
So do you handwrite the letter, address it, and then hand it off to them, and they bulk it and send it out?
Yeah, if you can find something that does it, you can. Again, not everybody can, and not every place is going to allow you to do that. You just have to look at your state laws. Any other questions before we go?
I have one. So when you get that listing appointment and we go see them, do you prepare anything? Do you look at anything before you get there?
I don't really do a lot. Again, it's my time is valuable, and my whole goal is to set up that next appointment. What I did was I took one of our folders. Let me grab one. I grabbed one of our branded folders, and in there I put my little my about me flyer that I have. I have a nice thick paper that I printed on my computer. When I put that in here, I put my listing for sellers paper in here. I also did a one printout of the realist facts on their house, and I give that to them, and I say, hey, I printed the little property information on here. So just in case there's something here that doesn't look accurate, ahead of time. So again, I'm giving them value. I also know that they might be listing their house. So I also put in my recommended resources guide in there. It's like a 1-pager or 2-pager, which is names of contractors, plumbers, whatever. And I always tell them, hey, some of these I've not personally used. They've been recommended to me. So, and I put a little hat, like a little star on the bottom saying I'm not liable for anything, because don't take my word for it. And I just give them that, just a little something, because it feels good. And like, how many agents come out with a really nice folder? We're on a team, so it's nice that we get these. So I would use this. And I know Tiffany, we have Tiffany here visiting with us. Tiffany, where are you coming out of?
I'm out of Santa Cruz County, so up north.
Okay, cool. So beautiful. I'm so glad you joined us today. Tiffany was one of the ladies that came on to the open house training from a group I'm in, a real estate group that I invited a bunch of people to come on and join, because I know a lot of this information is hard to get, and it's nice to have somebody that you can get information from. Anyways, any other questions before we go, you guys?
Well, I know what I'm doing for the next couple of months.
Yeah, and again,
Me too.
Combine that with what you're already doing. Don't ignore all the other stuff. Combine that with what you're already doing, and then just go all in with it and see how it works for you. And I'm telling you, even if you get a call back, they tell you to bug off. Don't let that discourage you. Take that as an opportunity. So, all right, you guys,
Thank
and like I
you.
said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You guys know have my number, my email, my Slack, my, you know, whatever, my socials.
Thank you,
Follow
and
me on social if
appreciate
you're
you.
not.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Bye, you guys.
Thank
See you
you.
at the 10
See
a.m.
you in a sec.
All right, bye.